What's up, the world? I just came to do a quick video on basically I wanted to talk about a couple things really. The whole situation with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant in general, the Nets, um, and how I feel it might so shock people to hear me say this, but I do feel that it's starting to just balloon out of control. I understood the initial outrage when they brought in Aldridge, right? I had outrage about it. It was completely unfair, fair situation. So Aldridge is no longer here anymore. So the annoyance I had was basically more about them missing, because I feel like right now so many of these white supremacists are using the NBA as this thing to try to point to saying they have power. Like, don't see that's what happens when you talk about injustice. We punish you. So it's very important. They're using these ratings to empower other white people to believe, racist white people to believe that they have the power to stop people from talking about subjects that are serious. And I don't like that. So that spearheaded a lot of my annoyance with them not taking this game as serious as it should be taken, because people are using the NBA as a rating set. See, they start talking about it's complete bullshit. We all know it's complete bullshit. It's not true. The ratings, when you calculate the fact that across the board all ratings had dropped and everything, because it was way more competitive because people were at home. So it wasn't the same thing as when you're working all day and then you come back and you go and you do something. No, it wasn't that type of situation. So I think there's a level of understanding that needs to be there when you talk about the NBA. I think it's just crap to connect the two and try to say, okay, well, because this happened, and you see the NBA, go get woke, go broke, and it infuriates me because it's such bull crap. It had nothing to do with no go get woke, go broke, because MLB didn't get woke. Their ratings have been crap forever, and they were crap doing this all, but they don't point to stuff that don't fit their narrative. You got to understand about racists, right? They understand their dying breed, so they have to be empowered to exist. That's what Fox News, the not all of Fox News, but the Fox News that caters to those lowbrow dumb people, the Sean Hannity's, Tucker Carlson's, Laura Ingraham, those type of talking heads that A, give Fox News a bad name, and B, have no factual evidence outside of catering to a fringe audience that is so retarded that it makes all Republicans look bad. The funniest thing is, if anybody actually walked up to a regular Republican in normal life, most of them like the coolest people in the world. Most Republicans are not racist. Most of them, they may have conservative values, meaning, which I hate when they bring conservative and Christian together, because those two things are not the same thing. But yeah, they bring conservative and Christian together, and it's just not the same. Christians are Christians. Conservatives are people who believe in the Republican Party. They're not Christians. But they're always bleeding the two together as if just because you're conservative, it makes you a Christian, when there's plenty of conservatives that are atheists. There's plenty of racists that are atheists. It's just crazy to me that they're always making it synonymous, conservative synonymous with being Christian, when being conservative has nothing to do with being Christian. But most conservative people, or not conservative, but Republican people, that if you meet them, people aren't racist. They're not. Are some of them kind of stubborn and see the world in one way and refuse to change the way that they see it? Yeah, some of them are like that, but a lot of liberals are like that. I mean, a lot of libertarians are like that. Everybody's like that. And when it comes to some issues, people just stand in their ground and they refuse to change it. Those people have those things, and one of those things that they talk about is values, decency, things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Being respectful, decent, and they're not going to change those values. Those things are the fabric of who they are, so they're not going to change them to cater to a society they feel is going bad. So I understand that. Getting back to my point, though, is when you have these dumb people who cater to a fringe audience, you have to be very careful about what you give them, because that's why Donald Trump incited, not because Donald Trump did anything, but when you incite people into believing rhetoric, and the funny thing is, I would give more credibility, credit to the media for stoking those idiot people than Donald Trump, because they made it seem as if Donald Trump was racist, and to the people who are racist, that is a battle cry. That's their leader. They have someone they can stand behind that they feel is their leader, and they want a racist leader. They want a racist leader that doesn't care anything about anybody but white people. That's what they want. That's what they've been waiting for. So to tell them that this guy is like that almost empowers them. And that's what it did. And it wasn't Donald Trump. Donald Trump never said anything that was blatantly racist. He said a lot of things that were blatantly conservative, but they weren't blatantly racist. They were just painted in racism. He said a million things that were blatantly ignorant as well. But that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to get to is whether they stole it or not. When you give these people fodder, they can't wait, because it empowers them to believe that they're not alone. So it empowers them to speak, to act out on these feelings that they don't feel. It's almost like when you're going into a fight, right? When you see 5 people in front of you and they're talking about jumping you, you're not going to be like, oh, let's go to war. But when you know you got 20 people behind you who will help you fight, 5 people don't seem like that many people no more. And you'll talk big. And that's the same thing I want people to understand about when you're dealing with racist people. When you empower them to believe they got an army behind them, they get real bold. You have to stop telling them that everybody around them is racist, because it does not make them change. It makes them feel empowered to be more racist. Make them feel like they got an army behind them. And everybody thinks as ignorantly as they do. And that's why they're so surprised when they say racist things and they end up losing their job. They're like, well, I thought everybody was as racist as I was. No, it wasn't that other people were holding back their racism. They just don't care about race like that. You're the only one that sits around with race in your craw. And so when I see the Brooklyn Nets doing what they did, it got under my skin, because it's like you have a responsibility to this game, to understand that it has a deeper meaning, and they're using this. Every time the ratings drop, they're empowering more racists, telling them, see, everybody's as racist as we are. Everybody is as racist as we are. See, that's why the ratings are going down. Everybody's as racist as we are. That's why the NFL's ratings are going down. They don't need any factual evidence to pull it up. Everybody know the ratings are down because LeBron is hurt, right? Especially in the West markets, it's down. All the biggest stars, Harden, LeBron, KD, all of them are hurt. So yeah, the ratings are going to drop, but they don't care. They're just going to use it, and they're going to say, see, their ratings are in the tanker. They wrote it. I saw a story in Business Week, not Business Week, but one of those newspapers last week, trying to say, oh, this is why good won't go broke. And so it infuriated me that the Nets did that. Like, you're doing things that are hurting the ratings, which these people will use to empower racists. And you don't understand the power you wield and the power that is there when you say, forget basketball, it's not that important. There's a level of understanding that you got to stop playing checkers, you got to play chess. And that's where my anger came from. But regardless of that, the point why I bring that up, in the 5 or so minutes that I was talking about it, is these people, the people have taken their hatred for the Nets overboard. Like, some of the stuff I'm hearing is just ridiculous. Harden is faking an injury. Why would he do that? That makes no sense whatsoever. KD is and Harden are faking their injuries. They're not really hurt. The whole situation with KD and Russell Westbrook, I thought was so blown out of proportion. Oh, he purposely left out. That man didn't purposely leave. You could clearly see he didn't purposely leave out Westbrook. I've been in a situation when people say, have you ever thought of somebody, name people who got your back? And I forgot to even mention my brother. And then when someone mentioned brought my brother, oh snap, my brother. That happens all the time. He hasn't played with Westbrook in damn near, what, 4 or 5 years, 5 or 6 years? It's perfectly normal that he would forget to say Westbrook's name. He hasn't played with him in a while. It's been like damn near a decade since he played with he just played. Last time he played with Steph. Last time he's currently playing with he said the first two fast. Kyrie Harden. Then he said Steph. And he said Clay. Because you could tell he's now going back further. He's going back further into his memory to try to recall what he's talking about. And then when he got there, you can tell he got into this point where he probably had thought in the back of his mind he had already said Westbrook. You can tell that happens sometimes. You just assume your mind just does that. And he's like, oh yeah, snap, Westbrook. Yeah, like I can't even believe I'm tripping. I forget rest. If he was gonna do that in that scenario, do you think that Kevin Durant would think that they wouldn't mention that he forgot what Russell Westbrook? So that there's one or two things, because I think logically it doesn't make sense. If he was trying to diss Russell Westbrook, then he would have understood that they were going to ask him about Russell Westbrook at some point. So it didn't make a lot of sense for him to leave Russell Westbrook's name off that list unless he unintentionally just forgot it. Because he hasn't played with him in a long while. And they were rivals for a little while. And then now it's like, oh yeah, Russ. So I don't think that was a jab at Russell Westbrook, and I'm probably pretty sure Russell Westbrook ain't took that as no jab. Russell Westbrook on a 6-game winning streak, killing the league right now. This man had 20 rebounds today. I mean, Russell Westbrook is doing fine. He ain't worried about that, and I'm pretty sure he didn't take that personal. He ain't played with freaking Kevin Durant in damn near a decade. He don't care. And I guarantee you, if he saw the tape after he heard him say, why would he say I'm tripping? If that was the case, he would have just said, I'm just trying not to mention, yeah, he in there, but I don't want to mention Westbrook's name because the minute I mention that Westbrook name, it's on every talk show, so I just don't want to even mention him. Russ know what he is, and he's one of my favorite teammates of all time. I just don't want to mention him because If that was the case, then he would have said that. But I don't think Kevin Durant's intention was ever to disrespect Russell Westbrook. It's just, it starts to get to a point where I understand the LeBron James Laker fans they're constantly being attacked, so they're constantly angry. Like there's people, I think people more stoke these fans. And then they get to a point where they get rabid, and I think with this whole Nets situation, it's like they're just starting to get rabid. It's everything with Kevin Durant ain't some snake thing. Okay, you were mad about Aldridge. Aldridge is gone now. Okay, he is gone. There's no need to hate Kevin Durant them anymore. Okay, everything's fair now. Now he's going to have to win. They have the same. They have a deep bench, great scoring offense with a little hole on defense. They're not Superman anymore. It's not a super team. They're just a great team now, right? They are comparable to any team in the league. It just comes down. You don't know who's going to win the East anymore. You don't know who's going to win the championship anymore. Everything's fair now. There's no need to hate the Nets anymore. There's no need to purposely hate on them. How you can debate whether or not they're the best team in the league and whether or not they can beat the Lakers. I mean, at the end of the day, no. I mean, I think now with Drummond there, it's just impossible. I don't see them beating the Lakers. But I think they brought the Drummond thing on when they started signing all those people, so the Lakers had to go get a big man, and that's when they went and got Drummond, even though they were going to go get a big man anyways. But at the end of the day, like I said, Drummond's a piece. He doesn't make the Lakers a super team. They're very beatable with Drummond. It's not the Nets can beat them with Drummond if they get out and run and play small and force them out of their big lineup. They can beat the Lakers. I mean, it's not impossible. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's not even unreasonable to believe that. I mean, a lot of people still don't have them as the favorites to beat the Lakers. So they're still a talented team. They're just not a super team. So I don't have any animosity towards them anymore. Now I'm back to just liking what I see. I love watching Kyrie the other day. Against the other day, I don't see now. I'm just enjoying basketball again. I mean, I love watching Steph going off. Love what Russell Westbrook is doing. Kevin Durant, them will get back when they get back, but and I know that's hurting the ratings right now, but they can't help it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never seen Harden sit out if he wasn't injured, and Kevin Durant probably is in a situation where he's dealing with that ACL injury and he's coming back and he doesn't want to rush it. So at the end of the day, I just think it's just so overblown, the hatred. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just not built like that. Like I said, my animosity toward the Nets would never anger. My point was from the beginning was always arguing that they needed to be better on defense. Say what you want about Kyrie Irving and what I said about him not being able to stick his nose in there, he's doing it. I have no complaints about the way Kyrie Irving has been playing over the last 3 or 4 games. He has been a pest on the defensive side. He's been putting his nose in there. He's been fighting through picks. He's been rebounding. He's been doing. I have no complaints other than him sitting out for random reasons. But he hasn't been doing that. So he's taken over as the leader of that team. And I see them playing well. I think he's doing a great job running the point, leading that team without KD and Harden. I mean, it's only been about 3 or 4 games, but he's doing a good job. I have no complaints about the way the Kyrie Irving is playing. Defensively, they need to get better, but Kyrie Irving is doing his thing defensively. I think he's being he's being a pest. He's doing everything he needs to do as a point guard. Once again, they need another big. DeAndre Jordan is not going to do it against the bigs he can't guard Giannis. And Giannis is going to eat them alive. Bam Adebayo is going to eat them alive as he did when the last time they played him. Joel Embiid is going to eat them alive. Joel Embiid is not going to do as much damage as Giannis though. If you don't got somebody in the middle of that defense that can stop Giannis Antetokounmpo, you are screwed. He's too quick. You can't put a guard on him. You can't put Jeff Green on Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's too quick. And you try to back and try your best to just back underneath the rim and say, okay, we're going to force you to shoot. That might work. But in order to do that, he got to not be able to back you down. And he can back anybody on that team down, even if they put in DeAndre Jordan. Not to mention they got Drew Holiday and Middleton who can hit the mid range with impunity, and Giannis can pass. So I'm like I said, I don't see them stopping Giannis. It's possible they could. Like I said, if they pack the paint, force Giannis to shoot it from the outside, and his supporting cast can't bring him out, then yeah, they're gonna be in trouble. The Bucks will be in trouble, but I just don't see that happening. But with KD, Kyrie, and Irving, I can see them getting out of the East, maybe. But I mean, I would put probably more. I mean, not probably at all. I put more stock in the 76ers because I'm about logic and playing and properly analyzing the game. And that with that defense and Joel Embiid, it's gonna be real hard for them to score a lot of points, and it's gonna be real easy for the 76ers to score a lot of points, and that's not gonna work. So, but that's my thing about the Nets. It's like I just feel like people are kind of just going with the motions, and I think as Laker fan. You know what I'm saying? I think they need to learn, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a Heat fan. If anybody didn't know, I'm a Miami Heat fan. I'm not a Lakers fan. I like LeBron. I think he's the best player in the league. But truly, I'm a Heat fan. I was more upset also by the Aldridge because I thought he was coming to the Heat. So I was annoyed about that. So this whole mindset that I that I love LeBron James is just not true. I mean, I think he's a great player. I think his story is the greatest story in NBA history. I love a lot about LeBron James, but that say that I care one way or another, like it's gonna mess my year up if LeBron James doesn't win championship. Why? He's worth $500 million. I'm pretty sure he's all right without my sympathy. Damn near a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? All he's done in his career, I just think people don't pay attention to the logic and facts. When you say something illogical, it's usually responded to by something logical. When you say LeBron James is not the best player in the league, and I believe he is, I'm going to explain to you why I think he's the best player in the league. I'm sorry if it seems annoying to you when you want to argue that Michael Jordan is the best player of all time, and people have legitimate arguments for why they believe LeBron James is the greatest player of all time. I'm sorry you as a Michael Jordan fan hate that. Half of y'all logically can't even explain outside of y'all's subjective opinion. You just liked Michael Jordan's style of play more than LeBron. Logically and based on facts, you have no tangible reason to believe Michael Jordan was better than LeBron James, other than just your personal feelings about the way he played. Michael Jordan, I heard somebody say the other day, Horace Grant wasn't an all-star. Well, without that all-star, guess who didn't make it to the championship game? Yeah, Michael Jordan. He ran up against a team that he played against that had that all-star and two more, and he lost to the Orlando Magic with Horace Grant. So if Horace Grant sucks so bad and he didn't need Horace Grant, or first, well, he was coming off a sabbatical. Man, kiss my ass with that. He had 2 or 3 50-point games leading up to the playoffs. Stop it. That was the same Michael Jordan. It's not like his shot was falling less. All he was a shooter. And if he was scoring 50 points a game, then what was there to come back from? If you can score 50 points, that's all he do. That's all he can do is score points, and he was scoring points. So so someone explain to me what Michael Jordan wasn't there. In that Magic series, the second game he scored like a 40, 50-point game. All he does is score. So if you want to sit around there and turn around and say, well, now all of a sudden it wasn't Michael Jordan because he was coming off a sabbatical, that he was scoring 50 points. He was scoring 50. I think he averaged like 30 points when he came back. He was the same guy. He just lost because he didn't have Horace Grant. He didn't have more all-stars than the team he was playing for once. Then what he do? Next year he goes and get robbed, and all of a sudden now all of a sudden he once again got the deck stacked in his favor. But nobody ever points that out. That Robin used to mess him up when he played for the Bad Boy Pistons. But everybody want to call Kevin Durant moves soft because he went to a team he was down 3-1 with. The Pistons used to terrorize Michael Jordan. He was all right with them bringing in Dennis Rodman. I'm not saying that he shouldn't have been all right with it. I'm saying if you're going to hold the standards the same, don't sit up and tell me Michael Jordan was a killer who had no heart and brought in a guy who used to terrorize him for the entirety of his beginning of his career. Like, stop it. That's not how life works. That's why I'm trying to say. I have spit logic, and when you come to me trying to speak something to me, don't be surprised when I respond to what you say with logic. I'm not arguing for I'm arguing for truth. I'm arguing for logic. What you saying don't make no sense. I didn't like the Aldridge trade because I felt as if it would mess everything up. There's no way to see who the best was. Now if Kevin Durant wins, he will have a legitimate claim to saying he's the best player in the league, and I want to see that. It's not a stacked deck no more. It's a juggernaut offensive team versus a juggernaut defensive team. We see what the unstoppable, immovable force versus the unstoppable object. That's what we all want to see. So I'm all good. I'm good. I'm good with the way it is. Like I'm not mad at the Nets no more. I could care less. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not hating on the Nets no more. I mean, there's no need to. I don't hate them. What I hate them for? They're struggling. They're dealing with their injury situations. Like, just leave. Like, at this point, it seems like people are just terrorizing the team. At this point, that really they're not even doing anything wrong. Like I said, I have a problem with Kevin Durant just sitting out on national televised game. Yeah, I had a right to be mad about that because I felt like he screwed the fans out of a good game when there was so many injuries that it was far and few between this season. But that's over with. He got legitimately hurt against the Heat. That was a good game. He tried to play. He got hurt. Oh well, he can't do anything about that. Harden tried to come back. He ended up hurting himself worse. Now he's out until the playoffs start. Injuries, that's on the NBA. They did that quick turnaround. And you notice the ones that getting hurt, most of the ones that getting hurt were all the guys who was in the playoffs. All the players that's getting hurt now are guys who had deeper runs into the playoffs. Jamal Murray, ACL, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, all the best players were the players outside of Steph that they were all guys who went deep into the playoffs. And that's not a coincidence. You can't do, your body is not made like that. Yeah, you can do that in baseball where you just basically standing around doing shit but running after one ball every 12 minutes. You ain't putting your body through a show. You can play 300 baseball games. Half the time they can play 2 baseball games in one day because it's so unathletically done. It's like you ain't putting no strain on your body. Basketball, you are jumping and landing and you running in each other at high speeds. That's a high collision. I mean, it's not a collision, but it's a high speed sport. You're moving and your body is twisting and turning at different angles. And the more you play, the more likely it is that you getting hurt. These freak occurrences, because you got bodies that are super uber athletic bodies that are swapping and moving and changing and turning and jumping, and it's very easy for somebody to get hurt. And you just started the season right after the last one, so now all these people who ain't really even had an off season, they're jumping right back into the fray, and their bodies are starting to break down on them. Because you cannot do that. You can't play that level of competition day in and day out for a full year and think that you're not gonna decimate your league, and that's exactly what they're doing. So my whole point, and the point that I'm getting at is let's peel back the Nets hate and have some common sense. Okay, yeah, it was cool. They were mad. Yeah, they were super team. They thought they were super team. Aldridge retired. Now they're just a great team. Okay, great team that has problems with defense. Right back to square one before they ever got LaMarcus Aldridge. No harm, no foul. They're not playing with him. They're moving on. They moved on. You move on. Okay. If they happen to win now, there's no hate. If they go on to win the title, they deserve their roses. They deserve their due. End of story. If Kevin Durant goes out and proves himself to be the top player in the league, then he proves it. You can't get mad at him. There's no excuses no more, right? You can even make the argument that for once LeBron has a stronger supporting cast than Kevin Durant does. So if Kevin Durant beats LeBron James, that doesn't mean he's always been better than LeBron. But if he goes and he beats LeBron James with this Nets team, he would make a really strong case for being the best player in the league. Depends on how he plays, of course. But I'm saying if he is the spearhead of that dragon, They're just good. They're just a good team, good nucleus players that beat a good nucleus of players. There's no cheating involved in it. There's no snake involved in it. They're just a good team. Claxton does not make them a great super team. It makes them a good team. Makes them a great team. I think him and Andre Drummond cancel each other out. He helps them defensively. Drummond helps them defensively. I think it's a wash. He helps them rebound, and Drummond helps them rebound. Drummond's just better than he is. So LeBron has a stronger cast than KD. Joel Embiid has a stronger cast than KD, in my opinion. Giannis slightly has a lesser class than lesser cast than KD, and Jimmy Butler I would say has a better cast than KD. No, he don't have a better cast, but he got a good cast, a comparable, cast. So I just came to just make the video because, like I said, I'm all about context. I'm not for the narrative. I don't give a crap what narrative is being spewed. I come out to speak truth. And when I speak on the NBA, I'm speaking on the NBA as it is. I'm not speaking on what I want it to be. And right now, I feel like the constant attacks on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving it's just, I think it's just lazy journalism, and it's just people trying to take advantage of especially somebody like KD. If the guy's dealing with the injury, he's coming back off of the injury, I feel like that's messed up to try to force the guy to come back earlier than he should, so he can end his career. You can have one of the greatest players to ever play end up messing their career up because they feel pressure to come back earlier than they should. Like I think that's stupid. Fans sometimes, I think, they don't even logically make sense. Oh yeah, why would Harden was the leading candidate for MVP at the time he got hurt? Why would he want to sit out? I don't understand why he would want to do that. That doesn't make any sense. Same thing for KD. He has no reason to leave. He was 3 for 3 at that point. Why would he just leave for no reason? He's on a minute restrictions for a reason, because he was already hampered. And when you dealing with an ACL injury, the problem with ACL injury is not that you think you're gonna re-injure that same knee. It's the anticipation. See, your whole life you've been playing a sport and you've been moving the way you move, and you never really thought that one time that movement would lead to something snapping. And once that happens, it's almost like you have PTSD. You become very, very hesitant to put any pressure on that knee. You become very, very hesitant about dropping and landing the wrong way. All that stuff that you never thought about when you were a young cat, just coming to the hole any kind of way. Now you're worried about all those things. Oh my gosh, I'm landing weird. I'm landing. So it ends up causing you to land more awkwardly than you normally would, because you're trying to protect that knee and falling awkwardly, and when before you just kind of did your thing, and when you fail, you fail. I think that's the biggest thing about people once they get ACL injuries. They start to protect. They start to try to force themselves in awkward ways. They try to push all the weight awkwardly off one leg onto the other, and that's why they always end up tearing the other ACL. It's that PTSD, that fear of what might happen or what did happen last time. You try your best not to do it again, because ain't nobody want to be sitting up for a year. So before you got hurt, you would get nicked up. You be out for a couple weeks. You come back. But that's another thing entirely. When you're looking at your career might be over, that's a stark thing to look at, to think I may never go back to the same Kevin Durant I was before this injury. And he hasn't. He's been injured. But Kevin Durant's always been kind of injury prone. He's kind of slight. I don't think he does himself any favor by not bulking up. He needs to really try. Like, I can't see him weighing more than maybe 170, 80 pounds on a 7-foot frame. He looks very gaunt and skinny at times. He doesn't look like he really takes care of himself. But But either way, like he looks literally like his body looks exactly the same as it did when he first walked into the NBA. When he first got to the NBA. So, but anyways, I would just say, you know what I'm saying, understand the man's a human being. You know what I'm saying. You know, like I really am too with the Nets situation. Just gonna be like, you know, I just don't want to spend my time, you know, doing that because I feel like what's the reason to hate them now? Now, am I gonna give my critique on them as a team? Yes, I'm gonna still talk about whether or not I think they're good enough to beat this team or that team, whether or not this changes anything. I'm gonna speak on those things, but those things don't change my opinion. I mean, those things don't. I'm no longer gonna be doing stories, even though I don't think I was doing it before. But if I was, you know what I'm saying, there's no animosity towards the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, Aldridge is no longer on the team, so I don't care anymore. I think their chances are as good as any other teams that are playing of losing or winning. Why would I hate them? Anyway, please comment. Let me know what you think. Thumbs it up if you like it. All right, y'all. Peace.